So the reason why I wanted to go through the business again, because I showed you guys the business manual during our last session. And then I started leafing through it and I went, oh, we could have talked about this. And oh, we could have talked about that. So I thought it would be a good idea, especially now we've got to reinvent ourselves. So even though I wrote this manual, well, I should say I wrote this manual many years ago. And going through it, I can see how there's some things we could definitely update. So I'll be asking you guys questions and, feel free to send me emails and we can just keep, growing things so things are better for everyone. But today we're going to be going over, some business tips on how to market your Biopulsar. I want to talk about the breakdown of the services, building up your holistic practice and all kinds of things. So we will be talking about a whole bunch of things. Now, I wanted to start though by talking about why holistic businesses fail. And I think I've mentioned, and again, I'll reiterate myself. Sometimes I might repeat things that I've said previously. But many years ago or several years ago, I spent a lot of money taking these marketing courses because I wanted to be better in marketing. And one of the things that they went through is why businesses fail. So one of the topics that came up is there was a lot of holistic practitioners in this marketing group, and why do holistic businesses fail? And because I'm a stats person, I like to look up things and find the stats that are related to that. But what it came down to is that the reason why a lot of holistic businesses fail is holistic practitioners are typically healers and feelers and not necessarily the business people. And this has been proven. And I could tell you, because I've taught thousands of people over the years as well, that a lot of people work with their right brain when they're doing healing work, but business is left brain. So we need to put that left brain hat on in order to work on that business level. Because if, again, we're not doing things on a business level, then how can we grow our business? It's not just going to necessarily grow as fast organically if you're just relying on your intuition. And I remember one woman that bought the Biopulsar. She was having some struggles at the beginning getting her business going. And I said, well, tell me what you're doing. She goes, well, Susanne, I'm sending out all these emails to people introducing myself, wanting them to, book an event with me. And I went, well, I wouldn't book an event with you either if I got your email. And she went, I don't understand. I said, well, when you're sending somebody an email by the internet, it's so impersonal. There's no emotional connection. People have to have that emotional connection to buy into your business or buy into your services. And if they don't have that emotional connection, then the likelihood of them wanting to work with you is slim to none. I told her, start phoning people. Start phoning people. Use the email as the support email, but start phoning people. As soon as she did that, all of a sudden, people started booking her. Because that is the difference. If you're relying on people learning about you through the internet or through modalities that they can't see you, they can't connect with you, they don't quite understand what you're doing, then again, they're the chances of them booking you are going to be slim. So you have to have people seeing you. You have to engage with people. You have to talk with them. And if you're shy, use your red energy, use your orange energy, use your yellow energy. Those are the three colors that are connected to your inner confidence, your emotional and social confidence, and your physical confidence. The red is your physical confidence. As soon as you connect to your red, you start creating reality. Orange is your social energy. If you're more introverted, if you're more of a healer, then there is a chance you might be more into the indigo energy or the green energy, which are not as outgoing. And you need those outgoing energies for people to feel confidence in you, because there's also a difference between saying, well, I can do that versus, yes, I do that, right? So they need to hear that confidence in you. Another reason why holistic businesses fail is practitioners know their stuff, but they don't know how to convey the message of what they offer to clients who really need their services. And often, even the marketing is incorrect because you're not marketing to your target audience. And again, people who tend to go to healers are the feelers. Okay, they already feel that they need some healing work, where we have to think outside of the box and market to the people who aren't expecting to hire us. Okay, and I always think of it in this way as well, that when it comes to, you know, the business application, where if, you know, we're in the business of showing the aura, showing, you know, the intangible. Well, who understands the intangible but the people who are right-brained and the feelers? However, 33% of the market are the right-brainers, 33 are the left-brainers, and let's say the remaining 33, 34% is both right and left brain. So most people in holistic businesses are marketing to the right brain people. So they're going after that strong 33% right brain people, which might also go into, you know, the middle group, which is both right and left. But who's marketing to the left brain? Or who's marketing to the people who are both right and left brain, but their left brain is a little bit more stronger? We know from all our statistical studies, our number one color intelligence is the yellow. 40% of people, their solar plexus, their yellow intelligence is their leading energy, 40%. Then on top of that, yellow is number two with over 30%. That means 70% of the people we've tested through our different testing modalities, and that even includes the Biopulsar, you will see that the solar plexus, that the yellow energy center is one of the strongest centers. So again, if we're looking at who we're marketing to, half the population has some degree of left brain energy, but yet we tend to only market to the right brain people. So we've got to be more clever in our marketing approach and market to everybody. You will capture more of the market. And I mentioned last time where, you know, for example, a company who's selling shoes, you know, they're just marketing to people who need a new pair of shoes because their shoes are worn out. But what about people who have sore feet or bunions or all these other issues with their feet? That's who you literally are going after. You're going after the market nobody else is going after. You can grow your business 2 to 3 times by getting that market. But how do you get that market? And that's what we're going to talk about, is some of the things that we can do. And knowing how to convey your message, because that is also a huge factor. If you do not have your elevator spiel down pat and you're introducing yourself to someone and you're mumble jumble all over the place and you're not talking with confidence, people aren't going to buy whatever you're selling. You have to talk with confidence, and you have to say what it is that you do in such a manner that people understand what you're saying. But again, if you're a healer, you've got to practice that, because for people who are naturally left brain, they know how to do that. Like, I've never had a problem with expressing myself in regards to what I do, but somebody who is more sensitive, maybe more withdrawn. There's one girl in the office, I keep telling her, you've got to talk louder. You've got to talk with more conviction, because I have a hard time hearing you and understanding you because she mumbles. Well, that's not very good if she's doing anything on the telephone. You know, thankfully, that's not her main job, but, you know, occasionally she has to call customers. And so therefore, you know, I don't want my customers to be stressed out because they don't understand something that somebody's trying to tell them. Now, the number one issue why holistic businesses fail is client compliance. Okay. That means that clients aren't understanding what happened, or aren't feeling well enough, or aren't feeling that difference, that notable difference. And because we're in the realm of energy medicine, you know, for people, again, who are right brain people, they're going to be super enthusiastic about whatever it is you're doing. And they're going to feel a little bit deeper than a left brain person. For me to feel something very deeply, it has to be deep. Okay. Or I should say, for me to feel anything, it has to be powerful and deep. If it is light energy work, I don't feel it as much. And in some cases, I don't feel it at all. It's kind of like, and I'll use an example that I think, a chiropractor. You go to a chiropractor for adjustment. Now, when you go to a chiropractor, generally you're going for maintenance. However, if you're in pain, that's a little bit different of a story. If you're just going for maintenance, like my chiropractor was requesting I come in once a month. So once a month I was going in, whether I felt good or bad. And in most cases I felt good. So I was going in and I didn't notice a difference. So it got to the point that for years, because I'm doing my own energy medicine, it got to a point where I just went, Why am I spending all this money on a chiropractor on an annual basis when I don't feel any difference? So I haven't gone in years. Okay, that chiropractor lost my business because there was nothing tangible to prove to me that what they were doing was supporting me. I'd rather spend my money on a massage therapist, which I do go to a massage therapist monthly, because I know that's one way to release the tensions in my body, where with a chiropractic adjustment, I don't feel it as much. So we have one Biopulsar owner on the East Coast. That's all she does is she goes into chiropractic offices and shows people the before and after of their adjustment. And one of the first people she did basically said to her, "This is my first time visiting a chiropractor. And had you not shown me the before and after scan of my chiropractic adjustment," she said, "I don't think I would have rebooked a session." And this is one of the things we don't realize when we lose clients. Why are we losing clients? Most practitioners don't phone the client up and say, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Is there a reason why you haven't come back? I'd love to get your feedback, whether it's good or bad, as to why you didn't book again." Most practitioners don't do that. But if you start talking to people or start thinking about your own experiences, and another experience I always share, when I went to a spa to get a treatment and the room was so cold, and I mentioned to the practitioner, "Can you please turn the heat up?" And she turned it up. After 10 minutes, I was still cold because I'm naked underneath a thin sheet. Granted, it was a hot summer day outside, but inside it was cool. So I said to her again, "Can you please turn up the heat?" Now, one of the things I noticed was she was wearing a sweater. So she was actually quite warm. When I asked her the third time to turn up the heat, I heard this, as if to say, "I'm the client and I'm wrong." And she, "Well, I find it warm in here." "Well, you're wearing a friggin' sweater." So to me, I never went back. And she was of the attitude that I had such a wonderful treatment and I'd come back. And now I've actually told people, don't go to that spa on Granville because she doesn't do good business. You'll be cold on the table. And by the way, she also answered her telephone. Are you kidding me? So you have to act as a business. When you're answering your cell phone, I don't want to hear you going, "Hello." I want to hear you going, not, "Joanne, what did you tell me earlier?" Oh, you're muted. I'm going to unmute you. I thought this was so cute. This is a little side note, but when I phoned Joanne back, what did you say to me?
I answered, well, I could see it was Susanne, so I answered Sisters of Mercy Convent.
So I want to hear your business. I don't want to hear your name, okay? Or I don't want to hear just hello. I want to know I've reached a business. If your cell phone is connected to your business, you should be answering it as a professional. I don't want you to answer it as if you're answering your family member calling, okay? I want to know that you are professional. So when you answer your phone, I want to hear that professionalism for you. And I want professionalism from the time people come in to the time that they end, as much as you can do. Now, you got to be organic too, meaning I want you to laugh and joke and have fun with clients, but I also want you to have that level of business so they know they've come to a place that is going to help them, not that they're coming to see their best friend, okay? So we've got to make sure that we can validate people, see differences in their counseling. So even at the end of a session, there's nothing wrong with showing people a snapshot of their after, photo, because through counseling, people will feel or may not feel that difference, but you can see that their aura has shifted. Now, because of COVID, of course, I'm not talking about any of you who might have some bans and restrictions right now, or I have some practitioners that aren't even worried about the ban and they're still business as usual. So whatever you're doing, this may or may not apply to you, but at some point when COVID's over, it definitely will be applying to you. But whatever you can do to start setting the stages of just making your business that much more valuable, that's what you want to do, okay? So as much as we can prove, show, and validate things to our clients, then the likelihood of them coming back are going to be stronger. Because again, if you're doing treatments and that could be ChromaLife treatments, it could be body work treatments, it could be sound counseling sessions, whatever it is. It's nice to show people the after. You don't have to do it every single session, but often when I'm doing therapies, I like people to see the end result. I like them to see that their aura looks more green or cleaner, or, you know, just more vibrant and whatnot. Okay. So I am following the booklet. So can everybody see the booklet? Are you seeing that on my screen? Okay, perfect. So this booklet is Developing a Successful Holistic Practice. So we're going to be going through this, and I'm going to be just sort of stopping along the way and talking about certain things, because I want to elaborate, because obviously when I'm writing something, you know, to try to get people to fully understand what I've written is a little bit more difficult than, okay, so getting started. Get to know your market. And this is what I was talking about earlier is, you know, gear in towards markets that nobody's going after as well. Because in this business of aura technology, you know, we're already in the metaphysical side of things. However, I have advertised myself to health stores, you know, practitioners and other groups that aren't what we would consider our, you know, exactly our focus group. So write a list of every market that you think that you can connect to. I've done things for Reiki institutes, reflexology institutes, acupuncturists, like I said, health stores, healing centers, you know, anything that's comfortable to you, and even try things that may not be as comfortable. Because I remember the first time I did a health store, it was a little intimidating because I was so used to reading the aura and then kind of going into the health market. My whole goal was to give 1 or 2 health tips on top of, you know, what I was offering. Okay. So alternative health therapists, there's a whole bunch. And I look at it in this way, that we've invested thousands of dollars into the Biopulsar. A lot of practitioners haven't gone out and purchased equipment. And so therefore, they're usually, you know, like a naturopath might rely on blood tests, urine tests, hair tests, other tests that have to be done through a lab. Now, there are some, you know, dark field microscopic blood analysis that people can do in-house. But I guess what I'm saying is a lot of practitioners don't necessarily have equipment. So why can't you align with those practitioners and let them know you've invested in this equipment and here's what you can offer their clients? And I'll also tell you that sometimes I let people indicate to me as to how they think that things can develop between us as a relationship. So when I was working with the acupuncturist, I asked her what her interest was. And she said, 1, I want to see how my energy is affected. And 2, I want to understand my client better. I already do pulse diagnosis, so I can already measure their energy. However, I want to see more about how I'm affected. And I also want to learn more about who they are as an individual. What are their emotional roadblocks? What are their, you know, thoughts and, you know, programs that maybe I can assist them with? Because a lot of healthcare practitioners or holistic practitioners specifically say they're holistic, but what does that mean? Holistic means we're addressing the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. A lot of practitioners, even though they're holistic, are not addressing everything holistically. So for example, I've gone to 3 different acupuncturists and not one of them engaged me in a conversation that I would consider holistic. They mainly focused on the physicality of the situation. And one practitioner said, "Are you under stress?" Is that really holistic? Just asking me one simple question of, are you under stress? So I think that there is being the ball dropped in some holistic practices. Not saying that everybody, you know, who's in a holistic practice doesn't work holistically, but I think the Biopulsar is, you know, such a phenomenal tool that we can partner up with all kinds of practitioners so they can get that advice. And the acupuncturist actually told me after my half-hour consultation with the client, and just so you know, it was the client, the acupuncturist, and myself. Now, the acupuncturist was there, but I was engaging with the client. But she told me in my half-hour session, she learned more about the client than she had over the course of years with those clients. And I think it was because with a lot of clients, again, she had her focus of doing the pulse diagnosis, doing, the herbal recommendations, doing the acupuncture. So there's, so much focus that there's only so many things we can do within our time constraint. But again, don't be afraid to expand the amount of time you spend with people so you can actually go through your checklist of everything that you want to do during a session. And that's another good thing to do, is put together a checklist of everything that you want to do in your session with the client. So this way you can go through it and make sure that you're working with the client on everything that you want to. And we can talk about this more so because I have all my different forms that give you a lot of information as to, the different things that you can review with a client. So for example, my holistic checklist goes into what is the client doing physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And that in itself is a great guideline of what you can go through with clients. So where and how can you, I wrote notes. I better go back to my notes so I don't miss anything. Oh, okay. So before we proceed, I wanted to ask a question. Why did you buy the Biopulsar?
You want the truth?
Yes.
Because 14 years ago, when I started doing Reiki, or when I started doing Reiki 20 years ago in Portugal, I was a witch or a saint. And I discovered that there was a technology that can explain people that I wasn't either one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's working until today.
Perfect. Okay.
I'm the only person in Portugal and Spain that have a device that can show people how the aura and the chakras are in a biofeedback way, because you have some different new tools with a lot of things, with a lot of show off, but the results are always the same results to everyone.
Perfect.
I see that in fairs.
Wonderful. Okay.
Okay. I'm mute myself.
Okay.
Okay. I had worked with the older aura for about 15 years. And then I had heard of you guys, but it took me a while to find you. And so just by accident, I came onto your site one day and I saw the product that you had. So I wanted to include that into my healing center because I felt that it had could give people a better look or a better understanding of their aura and chakras rather than the machine that I was already using.
Perfect.
So when I have clients coming in to show them the befores and afters of their healing has been really beneficial for them. And of course, when they come back, they understand it because they can see it in real time, whereas the other aura program I was using, you couldn't see that. And because we always explain to people through healing that we know that healing continues on, we just don't know how long it goes on for. So in real time, you can put them on and you can show them like after the healing session, but sometimes if people stay for a little bit longer, you can put them back on and you can show them that it's still working, it's still processing, and it's still going through what it needs in the body and the organs.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, a couple more.
I thought it was a remarkable technology coming from the spa industry because we had a lot of limits as to what we could really do for people. We were claiming to do a lot of anti-aging types of things, but we never really had the access to even know what we were going through ourselves. And so when I first came out to Vancouver and saw the Biopulsar, I thought, my gosh, like this gives people a level of understanding that they would never get otherwise, about the truth about their energetic situation. And I was just fascinated and floored by the power of color and what it's capable of doing for people. So I just found it to be a remarkable concept overall, and love the Chroma Life.
Thank you. Okay. Someone else?
Yes. Dr. Harrington speaking.
Thank you.
I think that the key thing for myself is once I saw the Biopulsar, what it could do, I felt it would validate the work that I was doing. And as a holistic doctor, it did the trick.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, anyone else? Okay, so from what I just heard, it has a lot to do with the validation. And remember what I just said, show, prove, validate. Because it proves to people what you're doing is not woo-woo. It shows people their energy. There's so many devices out there that are complicated, and people don't understand any more about themselves because they can't see anything tangible. This is tangible. We can see where our areas of weakness are, whether it's the organs or the chakras. So this is something to keep in mind with your advertising and your marketing, is making sure you're conveying the message as to why you purchased this equipment. Because I think that's very important. For me, it was the tangible proof, and being able to monitor my progress over time and seeing how my area of weakness was slowly changing. And this is one thing about energy medicine, is that sometimes these shifts are so subtle, are so small, but how do we prove that to the client? And as I talk about client compliance, if clients don't really feel much difference, do you think they're buying 100% into what you're selling? Possibly not, because again, they could contribute to the fact that they had a better night's sleep. They're feeling better because they had a good night's sleep, or they're feeling better because they went out exercising, or they're feeling better because of something else, not necessarily what you've done. So I like it for that tangible proof. There's no doubt about that. And the before and after speak for themselves. So thank you for sharing, guys, because to me that was really important, that you touch base as to why you bought the technology, and that could be a key part of your marketing. Okay, and there's so many places, literally, you know, just go online and just do some research as to, you know, how you can market yourself. And I know with, you know, everything that's going on, you can still offer classes and doing other things, you know, to teach people about what's coming. So if you partnered with with an organization and you were able to teach something online, you know, maybe as a guest speaker, then you could go in and, or not go in, but, you know, meet like a virtual forum and just talk about what you're doing, and saying, as soon as COVID lifts, I can come in, or I will be coming in and doing an event at such and such a place. So you can start plugging the seeds for the possibilities of what can be going on down the road. Sometimes when you're calling someone anyways, it could be months before you get in to set up. So I had some stores where it literally took 3 or 4 months before I actually got in, but you've got to start laying the groundwork. And I'm an advocate of whatever you put in is what you'll get back. And we're going to be talking about some of the monetary reward in that as well. Now, some of this I'm just going to skip through because I don't want to get hung up too much on oh, actually, I do want to go back here. I don't want to get hung up on every little detail. We've got a lot to cover in the next half hour. Okay, but I did want to talk about what your best market is and expand that a little bit. Think of what you want to do in regards to counseling and sessions. So for example, you can also go into working with children. You could do family counseling. I love doing families because for me, one of my best or a memorable reading that I did was I did a mother and her 2 children, and everybody was so left brain. There was very little emotional colors. And when I was talking to the boy, I could feel the distance, and he was, I think, about 11 years old. And I could feel the I don't want to say disconnect, but he was so, he didn't quite understand. My mother wants me to go, what, get my aura read. I don't know what he was thinking, but he didn't quite understand what this was all about. And when I, was talking to the mother and I said, your children show a lot of masculine energy and I'm not seeing a lot of emotional energy. And she actually made the comment that her children were like robots, that they didn't have that emotional connection. And she said, I'm not very emotional myself. And so we had a session just in regards to that, because in order for her children to understand their emotions, the parents have to show their emotions. And she mentioned to me that she also felt that her husband was non-emotional. So the children were picking up on that. And that was a huge concern for her. And that's what I saw initially. So to me, that family counseling is so important, because if you can see the auras of every person in a family, then you can understand, more or less how they get along. Because you got to remember, if you have somebody who is, showing a lot of yellow in their brain, they're going to be that control freak. They're going to, be someone who will be more of that dictator, versus if you have somebody who's an indigo person by nature, then, that yellow person is going to be the strong one in the relationship. And the indigo is going to be more emotional. So how are they getting along? That indigo might withdraw, where the yellow is going to be, probably ignoring the indigo person. And that can cause conflict in a relationship. So there is room for doing family counseling. I even have Biopulsar owners that work with addictions. And I have some Biopulsar owners that work with corporations, developing, the productivity of the employees, because that's another thing that, we do here at Color Energy with our employees, is we get them on the Biopulsar so they can understand more about their weaknesses and how they can actually become stronger in, their work, because that's very important in a working atmosphere. And now with social media, when we go into, how can we connect with our market? Well, social media, network groups, meetup groups, those are all very invaluable for building a business. Okay. And again, because you've got this manual, please go through it and highlight things. Highlight what it is that you feel that you want to work on, because when you highlight it and, start putting it into the organization aspect, the planning aspect of your business, then more things can develop around that. Okay. I offered to speak at a lot of events. And so I joined probably every women's group in the Lower Mainland here in BC, which was probably about 6 or 7 groups. And I shouldn't say they were women's groups. Some weren't women groups, some were business groups. But what I did was I joined all kinds of groups, from the Chamber of Commerce to other organizations. And I did that because they offer a platform where you can actually speak and tell people about your services. And I just thought what I did would be applicable to everyone. And in fact, when I did one event, they were asking for speakers, and I volunteered. And it was one of my first shows that I did any kind of speaking engagement. And lo and behold, I walked into this auditorium and there was 200 people waiting for me to speak. Okay. And I got up there and I did what I did. And I could tell you, after I spoke, I had a lineup at my booth for hours. So you've got to get outside of your comfort zone. And if you don't want to do the speaking engagements, find someone you could partner with that could be your voice, okay? Or put on your orange pants and go out there and, be social. Offering tickets and free giveaways. I do all kinds of things to create incentives where if you bring your partner gets in half price. Or if you have, teenagers, kids can come for free, do things like that. And especially if you're first working a business, start, using your family, friends, past coworkers, and even any current clients that you have as your word of mouth. Ask for favors. One of the things I learned is if you don't ask for favors, people don't think that you need their help. But as soon as you ask people to sort of let their network know what you're doing, then you can actually grow substantially. Now, if you are working at a location, I'm going to say it as the way I hear it or have heard it: location, location, location. You have to make sure if you're investing any kind of location for your, your business, if it's not a home-based business, make sure that you're in a location where there's a lot of traffic. And sometimes you pay a little bit more to be in those prime spots, but you can literally double your income having a great location. I had a storefront, and this is many years ago when I had an art store, and I was right beside the actual only grocery store in town. It was a perfect location because people in the village would always go shopping at some point, because sometimes they would run out of something at during the day or in the evening. And there was my store right beside the grocery store. So I had a lot of walk by traffic. Now, my landlord didn't renew my lease, so I ended up having to move my store onto another block within the same community. As soon as I did that, I understood my business was over, that it wasn't going to work anymore, because location, location, location. I no longer had the walk by traffic. So for people to come see you, it's a lot more difficult if you're not in a prime location. So I just wanted to mention that if you're investing in having your business somewhere, make sure it's in a prime location. And there's a lot of centers that what they do is they rent out space. Make sure it's a center that has a good clientele base. Not to say you can't be part of a startup group, but again, you're going to have more success when you have people in that facility that are doing a lot of the advertising for you. And it's got to be reciprocal. Like, tell your family and friends to use as many services at that place. So this way it becomes more of a community and things will ricochet. And, again, going back to the clinic that I'm part owner in, I could tell you whenever I'm there with the Biopulsar, I am recommending all the other practitioners. So if I see that somebody needs some lymph support, I'm sending them to the practitioners that do lymph drainage. If I feel that somebody needs more support on a counseling level, there's other counselors there that I can refer them to. So I'm always referring people. And I had a couple of the practitioners tell me that since I joined the team there, that their business doubled. And it's because of all the referrals I'm doing. And I'll tell you, by getting, by referring people to other people, I get referrals back. So it will work both ways. But sometimes you need to have that conversation with other practitioners saying, I'm about sharing, because some of my clients may need some of your services. So I would like to recommend you. I'd also like to offer you a session so you can understand how I work. So this way you can recommend your clients that you feel could use my services to me. Okay. Often they don't recommend anyone to you until you start recommending people to them, because it's easy to say that, but it's another thing to do it. So hold your word to it. If you're telling people that you'll recommend them, then you better recommend them and understand what they're doing. And sometimes, you might end up just sort of, exchanging services for free, just so they know what you do and you know what they do. And then that way you get a feel for that. Okay, and I could tell you with the woman who does the lymph drainage, it was fascinating because I didn't tell her much about the Biopulsar. And when she did her lymph drainage, she worked totally on an intuitive level, and every organ that showed up as a weaker organ on the Biopulsar is what she targeted in her lymph drainage. When I showed her my results of the energy work she did on me, she became an advocate of me. That was fascinating. Okay. Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about is knowing your pricing. You guys better have your pricing down pat and your sessions all figured out. And again, I'm just going to open this for a discussion. So do you guys have a price list that you've created where your sessions are broken down? Awesome.
Hi, Suzanne. When I do events, I have a show special of the 10 minutes for, depending on the event. Yeah. One event has $30 as the minimum.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then other events, it's $20 for the 10-minute special. I do offer full sessions. I don't have a time limit on them because who knows how long a session's going to take.
Right.
So those ones, they're up in around like $85 to $90.
Yeah, yeah. So what you want to do, or what I suggest that some of the things that you can do is, you know, create that list of the different sessions you're offering and break it down into what the cost is per minute. Okay. And I'm saying that because, for example, downtown Vancouver, the average practitioner is charging about between $100 and $120 for 1 hour. However, in the suburbs, they're charging anywhere between $75 and $90 an hour. So what you've got to do is create that price. And thank you for saying, Denise, that you don't have a timeline, because there are different ways to work, and you can charge like a flat fee. And I want to share one of my stories with you. I was talking to Tony the other day, and she's one of my new Biopulsar owners. And she shared with me that at the beginning, she was making zero money, because obviously this was a new business for her. She was involved in another business. And when she bought the Biopulsar, it was to start this new holistic practice. So at the beginning, she started with zero money. In her first month, she made $3,000. And I said, what are you charging? She said, I charge $150. And she's calling them intuitive aura readings. And she has quite a strong medical background. So, you know, again, however you want to advertise it, make sure you're advertising to your target market. Put the description on it that, you know, really highlights everything that you're doing. And if you don't have a timeline, the timeline might be, you know, no more than an hour and a half or something. You know, you do have to have some sort of timeline. You're not going to be sitting there and talking for 4 hours. I know that, Denise, but, you know, again, just sort of have some restrictions, so that way you're setting your boundaries and you're not going on forever. I know practitioners do sliding scales or by donation. That's all great. But again, have criteria, because even by donation, I have a flat fee, no less than this amount. So that way, you know, I want people to not, if they don't have the money to pay a lot, but those that have more money, you know, they're certainly welcome to pay more. And that works out quite nice across the board. But, you know, put together any specials that you have. And events are a little bit different than in your own holistic practice. And again, the rate can be anywhere from $1 to $3 per minute. Okay, so you have to find out what your comfort zone is, and don't underestimate your value, because I've heard so many practitioners that started out lowballing to build up their business. And as soon as they increased the price, they had no problem getting that. They just waited too long to do it. You know, in fact, I always tell everyone, maybe for the first 50 people, you give a little bit of a discount. And after that, you have to have a regular price, but you can do specials. You can do things for, you know, until the end of the year, you know, you may advertise you know, a certain fee or, you know, different things like that. So,
well, there is 2 of us here on the island currently in the same, like we're in the same small location, and we go to a lot of the same events. And unfortunately, she signs up for a lot of these before I do. So I can't have the Biopulsar where she is, because they won't allow 2 practitioners in the same event. So
I'm wondering, because I've come across that before. So what we did is we found out from the other practitioner what services they were offering, and we offer different services.
Yeah.
Still use the technology, but offer different services.
They just won't allow the same device.
Okay.
In the same events. So it's, you know, and so when I'm at an event that she's not there, I have to be in line with her pricing in order to get anybody, because they're going to go to her because she's offering the low price for that show special.
No, I don't agree with that. And I can see Joanne is shaking her head too, because again, charge what you want to charge based on what you're offering. And those people will come to you based on that. Okay, because I always think back when we first started doing shows, we were doing the mini $20 readings. And I said to Nikolai after a while, I said, Nikolai, I think we should be doing longer readings and charging more. He goes, no, people want introductions and they don't want to pay more than $20. And I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to advertise 2 rates, the $20 and the $50. And guess what? we were booking the $50 almost every single time. I think we did 100 readings and only 2 went for the $20. And it was because we offered more. Like, people said to me, what's the difference? And I said, well, when we have more time, we can cover more. And it's going to be more of a body, mind, and spirit reading, where when we're just doing an introduction, it's more based on, you know, your chakra system. So you can differentiate what your services are. So, you know, again, if you're charging under $20, then it has to be those shorter types of readings that you're literally maybe just talking more about the chakras, and then you can go into more evolved readings. But make your services totally different, because I'm sure you have the other person's brochure. Do your own thing.
Okay.
Yeah. You'd be surprised at what can happen when you do things like that. Because one of the things I learned with marketing, it's not about the price, it's about the service.
Okay.
I worked for a company, we had the most expensive product. And I'm not talking Biopulsar, because Biopulsar is more expensive than any other aura system that's out there, but we're less expensive than every diagnostic device that's out there.
Right.
Okay, so it's how you feature yourself. But in this other company, we had the most expensive products, but people bought into the service, because for one, I would service the heck out of them. You know, that was what our company goal was, is that people, they had that face, and that, you know, that was somebody that gave them love. Right.
Okay. Well,
So,
yeah, I'm going to have to get rid of that block, that energy block in my chakras for that. But again, it comes down to, they won't even let me have the same color energy products. So I have to come up with other ideas, which I've been doing recently online. So
yeah. And work with Danielle, because she's your rep, right? And she probably works with the other person too, and then find out what the other person's buying. And then again, she could guide you.
Okay. I will do that. Thank you.
Yeah, because again, I see every obstacle as just something we have to find the right solutions for. So, you know, it is just discovering that. Now, one of the things I was working on, and I just didn't get it finished for you guys today, but I was going through a whole bunch of things, like, you know, just thinking outside of the box of all the different types of sessions you can offer, from, you know, chakra checkups to, you know, aura readings where you're just giving 1 or 2, you know, important tips, you know, the holistic analysis, even the telephone or virtual sessions, you know, holistic body, mind, and spirit, you know, plus doing follow-up calls, because again, you might get somebody coming to you and you're doing the Biopulsar scan, but you can carry the sessions over and over and over a period of time, because, you know, again, if people are concerned about coming out in this, you know, this situation, then you can still do sessions that are follow-up over the phone. Because once you put people on a healing protocol, you want to ensure their success. And a lot of practitioners do not do follow-up calls. And I think some of you might. I think, Brian, you mentioned you do a lot of follow-up calls, right? I like that. Yeah. And in your follow-up calls, is it just a check-in, or you're just continuing with the session?
It really is just open. Depends on what, you know, we look. It can be just a follow-up. It can be an extension of introducing something new. So it really is just a check-in to start with, but it invariably may develop into, you know, a need for advice, giving them more advice, and perhaps down a therapeutic line at this moment in time, which is obviously slightly different to what it would normally be in practice. But yeah.
So is the follow-up session included in your initial price?
I really work my scales. It depends on what sort of services and what they're coming for and what they're looking. So we usually, right from the outset, we establish what their needs are, what they want to do, what the program is going to consist of. And I would always try, in the first instance, we work towards a 6th session as really a starting point, that if they really want to progress things forward, that they need to think about at least committing to a 6th session process. And that's what I found worked really, really well. When I was just doing it on a freelance basis, you know, ad hoc basis,
right.
Didn't get the follow-up, didn't get the follow-through, didn't get the commitment. And so I found that working through a 6th session basis, and then with review, so at the end of that review period, we then set other goals, or we look at, you know, their other needs. So it was really just making, I work on getting a commitment right up front and early on, because if they're going to go into this process with the type of services that I offer, I can't do it in less than 6, because
Yep.
that's really, as a rule of thumb, you know, certainly in the UK, from the UK's perception, with our NHS, which is, if you like, in competition with the holistic service practices, the benchmark really is over a 6-session period. And I just get them to understand that we need that amount of time. And that it works well in the UK.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I'm always letting people know, create a package of 7. So literally you're going possibly even through the chakras and just educating people about their energy flow. But yeah, and you know, sometimes you can do a little negotiation where, you know, if they're booking so many sessions, they get a price break if they commit to that, but they don't get the price break until the end, right?
Absolutely.
And going back to that, because I know with my massage therapist, she, you know, she has informed me of what her prices are. And so therefore I know that, you know, if you're doing a follow-up call and a client wants to continue with a session, then you have to be upfront with what your sessions are, that you do this follow-up call. And if they go beyond or they want to continue, that there is a rate fee that's involved, and have that on your paperwork. So again, everything's clear. And when they book the session, you can even send them that follow-up email that says, thank you for booking the session. This is what each session will look like. And, you know, if we're on the phone and, you know, there's additional time allotted that you want for continuing, then there will be a fee. Okay. So make sure you have that all up in front. So what I was doing is I was just creating this whole, you know, different things from what I've done to what I've heard other Biopulsar owners doing, even a family pack, right, where you could do 4 family members. And, you know, again, you can put that together however you want. Okay. Okay, so moving forward here. So knowing your rate schedule, that's really, really important. I also have the menu of services that I gave you guys out before. And again, I'll resend everything so you have everything at your fingertips. I also have a outline of what you can do to sort of get your juices going. And there's nothing wrong with doing this on an annual basis, even though you may have done a lot of this initially when you started your business, but redo it because some of your focus may have changed. I know my readings have evolved. So based on the fact that my readings have evolved, my services have evolved. So, you know, what you may have thought in regards to your business a few years ago might be different. So this was something I put together called Biopulsar in Your Business. And it's a list of questions to help you think about your Biopulsar business. What is it that you want to get out of it? So it's just a nice little 3-pager for you to get your creative juices going and to remind you of what's working and what's not if you're already in business, and get rid of what's not working. You know, keep moving forward, keep evolving. And the description of services goes into a lot of information on what you can charge. So on that page of getting started, it goes into your rates. So I'm going to go through that because we've just talked about it. And I wanted to talk a bit about the profitability. And this is an old one that I did up, but I just want to share with you guys that, you know, as I mentioned, I talked to Tony the other day, and she, you know, told me that in her first month of doing business, she already had made $3,000 by charging charging $150 per session. When I talked to her, it was the 14th of November, and she told me she had already made $3,000. Okay, so she's on track to make in her second month a projected $6,000. I think that's awesome. And I want you guys to hear that because I think that's very important, where here's somebody new and she's getting a lot of word of mouth now because of the fact, you know, people are loving her readings. I want you to put some goals together because I'm a goal maker. If you want to earn $500 a day, you have to then start thinking about how can you make that $500 a day? That would mean you're doing 3 $150 sessions and one $50 session. Okay. Or maybe it's 5 $100 sessions. Okay. Then put together a goal of how many days a week do you want to work and how much money do you want to make at the end of the month. These are things that are really important for you to see, because again, it's easy to just sort of go, I'm going to book this event, or I'm going to, just let people randomly call me. But when you have a goal, then you're more apt to stay on target by doing things to create that momentum. Does that make sense? Good. Because to me, that's really important. So if you're doing between 50 and 100 readings a month, then you can generate up to $15,000. Now, imagine if you add product sales to it and treatment sales. Okay. So however you create your business, I want you to think of all the things that you can add to it that's going to add on more. Because when somebody comes for a session and you're doing a counseling session with them, maybe a 1 hour or a consultation, and you can see that they would have an advantage for getting a treatment, whether it's a ChromaLive light therapy treatment or, something else that it is that you do, letting them know that you feel that this session would also be something that can assist them on their progress. And that with tools, it will also be a catalyst to get them there faster. Because again, I think you all know that I'm of the belief, if we were that smart, we wouldn't need to do any counseling, right? We would already be enlightened, but we're here on planet Earth. So we're not quite there yet, meaning we have to go through all these stages of getting, stronger and stronger, better and better in our holistic wellness. And so we're all on track to do that. So we need the tools and we need our support system. So when people choose you as part of their support system, consider branching out and having tools that will also support them. Okay. Because for every reading, if you're charging $100 for a reading and the client buys $50 in product, that means now your profit just increased by $25. And if you do that with 5 clients, that's an extra $125 in your pocket. Okay. And I end all my sessions with the next step. I want to tell my clients what classes I'm offering. I want to tell them what I see as the next thing. If they've already signed up for a program, that's one thing. But if they haven't signed up for a program, asking them, do you see value of this session? Because ideally what we'd like to do is have ongoing sessions every 2 weeks or once a month, whatever is suitable to their schedule. So this keeps them on track. And again, I'm always going to go back with myself. It took me 2 years to shift my weakest chakra to a normal, healthy state. I was dedicated to my program, and I invested in a lot of things that our company didn't even sell, as well as things that our company had. On top, I was doing my own sessions on the Biopulsar, but I would have paid somebody else for that. I have my practitioners that I go to for what I need. And often because I have the Biopulsar, I'm going to my practitioners already with what I want them to work on. So because I know my energy, it's a lot easier to go to a practitioner saying, okay, this is an issue. Like, I need help in this area. So even as a practitioner, I need help. So again, sky's the limit as to how much you want to make, but you got to start breaking it down. How much do you want to work? How many days a week do you want to work? What is your target daily, and how can you get there? And that could be as simple as charging more for your sessions. Don't undervalue yourself, charge more, make more. Okay. And again, let people know, if you've added something special to the reading, that you work intuitively, because we have the concrete evidence. And I tell people my readings are intuitive based readings. I have the fact of the technology, but I use my intuition to help support you to further understand what it is that you're confronted with or dealing with. Okay. Now, the next part has to do with marketing and promotions. I just want to touch on a few things. Just so you guys know, the psychic industry is a multi-million-dollar business. So if you add on to your services that you do intuitive readings, whether you call them psychic readings or intuitive readings, however you want to describe it to people, I want you to know that this is big business. And during the time of the recession, psychic readings were at a higher level, because people were wondering, okay, what's going on? What can I focus on? What do I need to do? People often are looking for more spiritual answers when there's times of crisis. So during this crazy time of COVID, this is also where people need our support more so. So again, that might be part of what you're promoting. And one of my Biopulsar owners, I just want to share this with you guys, because we were talking about doing the COVID evaluations. She calls it the COVID Health Prevention Evaluation. I thought that was brilliant. That's an awesome name, you know, COVID Health Prevention evaluation. So that's how she's marketing her services on the Biopulsar, you know, having people do that checklist, which you all have received by now. And if you haven't received it, let me know, I'll resend it, because I have sent it out, I think 2 or 3 times now. But that's important, you know, again, create things based on what's going to be important at this time. So doing COVID readings might be and you not necessarily want to advertise it as a COVID spiritual reading, but nonetheless, you know, letting people know that during this time of I don't want to say despair, but there's 2 ways to market to people: with pain and pleasure. Okay, so you could have statements such as, are you conflicted, you know, in life at this time? You know, I can help you through, you know, through this situation. Kind of like that. I mean, I'm just, you know, brainstorming here. I've done a lot of donation events because it's a great way to build a business, and it's also a great way to be out in you know, the public. Also, a lot of my classes, I do donations. So I tell people that whatever they donate, I will personally match out of my proceeds from the class, and will donate the total combined amount to a charity. So I like doing things like that because I think it's nice to give back, and, you know, sometimes works both ways. Okay. And also, you could even consider creating your own event. I know that right now there's not a lot of activities that are happening, but you could do events, and you could do it based by, you know, only so many people coming into the event, and partner up with a few other people that offer different services than your own. So maybe you get together with 3 or 4 people in a you know, fair size room. So you each have your own corner, and you allow so many people in during this time and this time. You know, and people can pre-book their sessions in advance, sort of like a mini, you know, fair, but controlled by you. And, you know, as you go through a lot of this promotional material, talk to anyone and everyone about what you're doing. And again, ask for help. Ask people to help be your word of mouth. And like I said, study your, you know, get to know your elevator spiel. So that way, when you're talking to people, you know, you have your description of what it is that you do down pat. Okay, I'm just zooming ahead here because I'm going to go through this fairly quickly now because we're at time. I have just a few things written down here. And carry things with you, especially, you know, when you're doing events. I always had things on my table to show people, like my aura pictures, the graph analysis, the different reports. Put everything in a binder, mark the binder that this is private property, you know, do not remove, you know, because you don't want people walking away with things, because whatever you put on the table, people will think it's free. So make sure you have it properly bound. So even my pens, I tie up my pens and, you know, have them tacked onto something, because people are infamous of walking away with things. But, you know, put everything together, whether it's your elevator spiel, your business cards, your promotional material, carry that with you. I went and I bought myself a suitcase on wheels from Costco, cost me, I think, $80. And that's my whole office on wheels. My Biopulsar fits in there, my laptop fits in there, and all my training materials. So I have a binder with sheet protectors in them where I have all my copies put inside. Oh, wow. So many things to cover here. I mean, I could go on for hours talking about the business end of things. And when you're doing emails out to people, you know, consider doing giving free information. One of the things I learned, and I thought this was brilliant because this is what rooked me right in, is is when I took this marketing course, they offered this marketing program for an evening for $30. However, if you booked in advance by such and such a date, you would get the seat for free. And I thought, okay, what can I lose? I'll book in advance, I'll attend this event. And they gave so much information out during that meeting. I loved it. I was going, oh my goodness, they're giving me so much gold, so many tips, so many ideas, so much information. And at the end, they had the sign up. If you sign up for our marketing program, it's normally, and I loved what they did, normally $2.99. But for you tonight, for attending this meeting, it's only $1.99. So they lowered it by $1,000. And then they said, and if you bring someone, that second person is for free. So I signed up and we each paid $1,000 and it was a great program. And then during the first part of the program, they repeated everything that they talked about in that 3-hour seminar. So they literally gave me 3 hours of their 2-day seminar for free in that 3-hour seminar. But because there was so much content, so much value in it, I was sold. And that is something as well. The reason why I like to share with you so much information is because I know it's going to help you. You're going to keep wanting to come back to the seminars, that, you know, it's something that is of value. So that's what you want to do. So when you're doing events, give a lot of meaty tidbits and then let people know that they'll learn more at your, at your classes, whether they're virtual or in-house, and they're going to want to because they feel that you've given them so much. So make sure you have these great tips. And when you're sending out emails, send things that will excite people. So for example, I have my self-love tips, how to cleanse your aura tips. I have all kinds of handouts that I made that I give you guys for free that you could use as this, these lures for people, that you're giving them something for free, right? And how often should you be in touch? Okay. That's something that you also have to, convey to people, because most people, they do something once or twice and then they forget. You want to have people committing to their program of wellness. And if they have any solutions, if they have any problems, you have to find solutions. So kind of like with the COVID evaluation, you're assessing whether or not they have any precursors that would make them more eligible to catch COVID, but you're also providing them with solutions. And those solutions are aromatherapy solutions or herbal solutions or, other natural healing modalities. And as for referrals, that's another thing. And here's another thing that came up with some of my owners. I had 4 owners in Denver, Colorado that went together for joint advertising. They all lived in different areas of Denver, but combined, they were able to do advertising at a cheaper rate because it was divided into 4. And they understood that because they all lived in different parts of the city, that they would all gain business, because obviously some people aren't going to drive an hour or 2 to the other end of the city when they have somebody in their own backyard. Okay, and then throughout the manual, there's all kinds of other tidbits. I can share just quickly a few more things. I got hired by Lululemon to do an event, and they paid me $1,000 for an evening. Okay. There's all these event companies that are out there, and I've been solicited by others. I was solicited by a organization that does cooking classes. Okay. You just never know who's going to hire you for different things. I also got hired by one of the largest CBD outlets here in Vancouver that hired me for 6 events, and they would have hired me for many more, but I actually gave it to another Biopulsar owner because I didn't have the time. And trust me, I was getting paid really, really well. I also got paid $1,000 a day, but when I committed to a longer term event, then I got paid $500 for half a day. So again, great way to make money by partnering up with companies that coordinate events. And sometimes when you're doing different things, you never know who you're gonna, come across that will, be a great source for referrals. So always let people know that you're happy for referrals. And I mentioned to you already, I joined a bunch of networking groups. And there's a lot of social media that will advertise you. And I've even put it out there for you guys that if you want me to post you on Meetup, if you're doing any kind of classes, I can promote you for free on Meetup. And I'm paying for the service, but I am happy to promote you. I want to be promoting you guys, because if people are part of Meetup and you're not, it's just another way that you can get people signed up. And Eventbrite here in Canada, I don't know if they're in the US, but Eventbrite, you can advertise things on Eventbrite. It doesn't cost you anything, but if anybody signs up for your event on Eventbrite, they make a commission off of it. But again, it's another organization that's promoting you. And social media, start creating posts and advertising little tidbits again to get people interested, because all it takes is one person to forward your post or share your Facebook post with someone who might share it with somebody else and somebody else. So sometimes, I don't know how much you guys know about social media, but we might post and then next thing you know, we have 1,000 hits because people really like that one post that we did. And sometimes we have minimal hits. So it just depends on what you do and if people think it's worthy of sharing. Okay, so we're over 4 o'clock. Like I said, I could go on for hours just talking about different things that you can do, but most of it is in this booklet. So I sent it out to you. I sent it out to all owners. If you didn't see it, please let me know. I am having some issues with Gmail and sending to Yahoo accounts. So if you have Gmail or Yahoo, please check your spam folder because it could be in there. And always look for the word color, C-O-L-O-U-R, and my name should come up. Now, going back to the chakra workshops, I've now made flyers for all the chakras. So all the colors are there now for you. Okay. So I have that. And then I had somebody else that was requesting some posters. So I made another poster, and I love this because this is something that I actually did in the clinic. I had a sign that said free aura cleansing, and people would come up to me going, what is that? Now, meanwhile, I was trying to promote my Biopulsar business, but fluff up your aura with aura cleanser, right? And people were going, well, what do you mean free aura cleansing? And I'm there, well, I've got this spray. And what I do is I spray your aura with this cleanser that helps to get rid of all the EMF toxicity and any lower frequencies, entities, anything that's, of a low energy, it gets rid of it. So I'm offering it for free if you'd like. And I would get people, saying, sure, that would be great. And then I'd say, oh, and by the way, I'm also doing the Biopulsar here, and this is what I'm doing. And I would give them my spiel. Well, next thing you know, I'd have them signing up for a session. Okay. So the lure was doing the free, aura cleansing. But for those that booked the session, I did the aura cleansing after. And I'd say, okay, now that we've done some release work, you've released some, emotional stuff. So what I'm going to do is just spray the aura cleanser above your head. And what I would do is I would teach them how to fluff up their aura. And I would just go around them and move the energy, saying, okay, aura cleanser is dispelling all the negativity in your aura. And the particles of the aura cleanser is blessing your aura with love and light. And I'm just using my hands to move the energy. Okay, so just something really simple. And I would sometimes go around them like I'm, like patting down their auric field. I mean, I know the aura cleanser already did the stuff. So, and I have a feather fan. Sometimes I'll take out and, fluff up a person's aura. So different things that you can do. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
I had to launch it. Okay. I'm asking some of these questions because I want to know how much time I'm going to invest in putting together more business ideas. Because there's a lot of ideas that I've shared with you today. There's a lot of ideas in the marketing manual. And so I just want to get some ideas of what else I can do for you guys. Now, I put together an itinerary of some of the next classes. So next week, and I'm going to do it on Thursdays because I was finding when I was going back and forth from Tuesdays and Thursdays, it just kind of set me off my game. And last week I became a little bit paralyzed because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I sat down and I created the curriculum for the next several weeks. So next week, it's going to be how to analyze your own aura workshop. Now, because you guys are Biopulsar owners, I want to share with you something else, that I'm going to be teaching this class for you guys to look at it from the teacher's perspective. Because again, this is the template that I've created on teaching this class. So on your perspective, you would be promoting a class that would be called How to Analyze Your Own Aura, just as I've defined it here. So what I want you guys to do is attend the class, of course, and look at it from the teacher perspective. It's going to be everything that's in the current manual on, oh, they took it away. They did, I had it behind me. They took it away on how to read your aura. So I'm going to follow that template, and what we're going to do is I'm going to pretend you're my class. And what I want you to do is bring a fresh aura picture with you. So that way you'll have your aura picture in front, because again, I am teaching this as if you are in my class. Okay. And there's going to be other people that will be joining that don't have a Biopulsar and that may want to get a Biopulsar reading. So I'm going to be putting it out there that if they want a reading with any Biopulsar owners, to just submit their request, and then we'll give them names of Biopulsar owners in their area. Okay. Okay, so it looks like some of the questions aren't being answered. So if you guys don't mind divulging, I would really appreciate it, because I want to start looking at some things.
Sorry, Susanne, are you able to email us those questions and we can respond back to you?
That would be great. And the reason why I'm asking these questions, not to pry or anything, but I want to know where you guys are in regards to your financial success. Because to me, this is really important. I want you guys to be very successful in everything that you're doing. And I want to figure out how I can help you in the areas that maybe you're not as successful. So I want this to be, you know, an honest and open forum, because again, you know, like I said, I was talking to one owner and she's telling me she's sending out everything by email. Well, that's not going to build your business when you're not talking to anyone. So I want to tweak all these little things. And I'm hoping today you learned a lot of little tidbits that will help you moving forward. Okay. Okay, we'll just open it up for a quick answer period. So does anybody have any questions?
I do. I'm just wondering, I don't know where everybody else is located there, probably all over the place. So after the first lockdown, were you all able to continue working like right back to normal? You can just nod maybe yes or no.
No.
No. Yeah, because we're like one step away from another one. I was talking to Susanne today, and I'm starting to do some online classes around the personality to kind of just find a new way. If I can't see people, you know, directly, who knows what's coming. So I'm just wondering if it's just here, or should I move?
Well, and this is why we were even talking about some other things, you know, like for example, we were talking about you know, doing different online classes or doing, you know, virtual sessions. And, you know, of course we have the color energy personality test that you can incorporate in that, but also you can do readings based on you know, based on the last reading that you did with the client and just taking it to that next level, right? Because we all know too, especially when a client is low in the root chakra, it's not going to be, you know, they're not going to heal that in 1 month. There's no way.
Oh my gosh, I know that one.
Yeah.
And the other thing too that I've been working with a few people is going by symptoms, you know, so just as if they were here, they would, you know, do the intake form. Yeah. So I can see what they've got going on. It's not exactly the same as bringing their energy up on the screen, but still there's a tremendous amount of insight that we can get by symptoms if we're not able to see. And also too, some people are just at too far of a distance, but they might like some help.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find more creative ways of navigating through this interesting time. but still be able to be very helpful and supportive and help people navigate themselves. Make sure they're strong, make sure that they're able to address an area that's maybe tripping them up a bit.
Yeah. Now, Appaloosa, she sent me that she's doing distance biofield tuning sessions. Well, we can do the distant reading of the Biopulsar as well. Because remember, everything on a quantum level, we can pick up on somebody else's energy. So what you do is you take the Biopulsar scan, and then you do yourself before you get on with the client. And then what you do is you become that conduit of their energy, and you have your hand on the system again. And then what you're doing is you're opening up the gateway that you can read them remotely. And through your hand, their information will come. And you call it whatever you want that makes you feel comfortable. It could be a, psychic distance aura reading, okay? However you want to call it, but start, formulating some of those things. Denise, have you done some of the distance readings on the Biopulsar?
Yeah, sorry, the dog is barking in the background very loudly.
Okay, thanks, yeah.
No, I haven't done any distance reading with the Biopulsar yet.
Okay, so it's just developing your confidence. I've done this now several times, and people were saying I was bang on. So it's just a matter of, maybe starting out by doing a few people, remotely, and then just kind of work out some of the tweaks. If you're interested, I have a step-by-step guideline on how to do a surrogate reading or a distance reading. I'm happy to share that with you guys, because again, we do have to be very creative in our thoughts. And some areas there's more shutdowns than others. And I've had a few Biopulsar owners that have basically said to me that they're letting their clients know that they're still open for business, and they're allowing clients in their door.
So funny you say that. I actually asked a few friends this morning that I have read in the past, and asked them if they would be a test, client, to see if I could do surrogate reading on them. So
awesome.
Great.
Yeah, because really the sky's the limit. It's just our beliefs hinder us from moving forward on things. But as I tell everyone, practice makes perfect. If you've never done a surrogate reading before, or a distance reading, you just have to jump in, trust you'll be able to do it, and do it. If I would have never gotten involved with the Biopulsar had Nikolai not pushed me into it, because basically he said, Susanne, you're doing this event and you're going to be doing aura readings. And I don't know if you guys have heard this story, and I don't mind sharing it again, because I literally told him where to go. I said, I have not signed up to do aura readings. That's not anything I have any interest of, and he basically said, well, I'm sorry, you're going to be doing it. I already purchased the booth. We're committed to do the show, and you're the only one that could do the readings because you're the only one that's trained in color analysis. And I literally swore at him, and I said, no, I'm not doing this event. And he pulled the boss card saying, I'm your boss. I need you to do this. And okay, he won. And it was the best thing that could have happened, because I did 50 readings back to back over the course of 2 days. And I'll tell you, by the time I finished that 50th reading, I was going, I love this. I absolutely love this. And I just, again, want to share back with you with Tony. Tony was, just telling me how thankful she was, because she finds that the Biopulsar opens the door, and it allows people to, really put their heart on their sleeve in discussions. Because when we're looking at somebody's aura, we're looking at their true essence. There's nothing that they're hiding from us. So this gives us a wonderful opportunity to allow people to express their deepest, darkest secrets and any concerns that they have. We just have to be out there and trust that, people will find us, right? But we've got to put ourselves out there. We've got to do whatever we can. When I started my store, and this was back in 91 or 92, 1991, 92, I had $2,000 that I borrowed from my mother to open up this store. And it was enough to pay my first month's rent. It was enough to get my hydro turned on, my telephone, and I had a few $100s left to literally open my store. And I had this vision of opening up an art store where I would support local artisans. It cost me $40 to put an ad in the paper. I put an ad in looking for local artisans, new store opening up in Horseshoe Bay. And I had a bunch of people apply. And next thing you know, I had all this product coming in. I had no displays. It was during winemaking season and all the Italians were throwing out their crates. And I went in this area of town and every night I was grabbing all the crates. I had probably about 50 crates and I made display racks. I was driving by a gas station that was getting ripped down and they had a counter. I went and I said, what are you doing with this counter? They said, well, we're just junking it. And I said, can I have it? They said, absolutely. Phoned up a friend that had a truck, hauled it away. I started my store with $2,000. And I tell everyone this, that when you have passion for something, don't let anything or anyone get in your way. I had people that were saying, how could you open up a store with $2,000? Guess what? I did it. And in my first year, I actually broke even. A lot of businesses that are storefront don't make money till the 4th or 5th year. I broke even the first year because I did not buy into whatever everybody else was selling. I don't like when people say that, oh, statistically, this can't happen. I'm looking at, okay, I'm not going to be that one stat. I'm going to be the stat that's the opposite. I'm going to be the winner. Okay. And you guys can be winners. You just have to put on your winner hat and be creative, you know, think outside the box and dedicate time, dedicate energy towards this, because whatever you put energy into, you'll get back. Okay. And I know this is a difficult time, but I can tell you that, you know, we're going strong here at Color Energy. You know, things are still, you know, happening out there. And right now there is a spiritual crisis. People are in spiritual crises right now. They're wanting to know why this is happening. They're wanting to, you know, reinvent themselves. They're trying to figure out things. And when we're looking at that aura, we can give them, you know, some inclinations of what they can move forward in, right? Whether it's spiritual growth, emotional, you know, emotional support, you know, physical wellness, whatever it is, we can do it with the Biopulsar, right? And I've given you guys so many tips for business success that you just have to start applying them. And if you want to phone me and brainstorm, I'm all for that. I've had a lot of, you know, owners over the years that call me up and just ask me, you know, how use me as a sounding board. You know, I'll share ideas with you. Okay.
Susan,
yes.
I just wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
Yeah. Before I had a Biopulsar machine, I used to do a lot of Reiki. And so I did Reiki. And because my base chakra is very weak, I found I used to get really exhausted and quite ill. Do you think, in all honesty, if you're still in that place or you're just slowly building up the strength in your base chakra because it's your foundation, do you think it's wise to do absent Biopulsar readings when you're still quite fragile?
You know yourself better than I do. And I say that because, you know, sometimes I want to push people out of the norm because it's not necessarily, it could be in part a belief is I think what I'm trying to tell you, because I think you're much stronger than you give yourself credit for. You know, and
yeah, I have to agree with that to a level, but because I'm very sensory, I find the energy, because I'm not grounded and protected enough in my own strength, I find I tend to take on too much of the energy of the person, so which makes me fragile.
Yeah. So what you have to try is building up your red before you do a session.
That's right? What I wanted to ask you, because that's what I've been working on now since I broke my ankle, really working the red.
Yeah. And again, you know, just, you got to keep doing it, because even when I do an event, because when I do events, you're dealing with hundreds, if not thousands of people. And you can get on overwhelm with so much energy in an atmosphere. So I have my whole,
absolutely.
And that ritual is always doing aura cleansing. And you know what, when I showed you guys this sheet, I was actually telling the other person, Erin, that when I do these things like free aura cleansing, I'm cleansing my aura at the same time. I spray them, I spray me. So for me, I'm constantly using aura cleanser. I'm sure I give myself at least 50 mists throughout the whole day, you know, and then on top of that, I'm starting with red stones in my pocket or my shungite. You know, I'm wearing my red underwear, you know, I'm doing everything red. I'm doing either, you know, sometimes I do a power shower with the red color bath, but I'm definitely lubricating myself with a lot of red oils, especially on the soles of my feet. So I'm doing this, and I'm not as energy sensitive as you, you know, so again, as much as you can do red, that will keep you protected.
Absolutely.
But you've got to go also in with that, and the way one person healer explained it to me, which I've shared with many others, is turn down your sensitivity volume. It's already high. You don't need it on full blast. So envision turning down that nozzle while you're upping your red energy, because intuition does not die in people who are intuitive.
No. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
If anything, the red will just be balanced more. So again, sometimes it's visualizations. And what you may want to do is like stamping your feet, like when you're here in class, stamping your feet and revving up your root chakra and saying, I am grounded, I am safe, I am grounded, I am safe, I am grounded, I am safe. And just keep repeating that mantra. And remember, it takes 68 seconds to create that initial
energy.
Exactly. So
even
if you have your clock, your phone on timer,
on your phone on timer.
Yeah, go crazy for 2 minutes and just rev up your root and feel that strength come in, right? But
awesome. Thank you so much.
You got to remember, because you're high in indigo, you imagine a lot.
Yeah.
So imagine grounding yourself. Imagine everything polar opposite. This is another thing that I try to teach.
Oh, well said. Opposite. Exactly.
Exactly. So if you're not passionate, you become passion. Okay.
Gotcha.
If you're angry, you become non-angry.
Yep.
Okay. But you've got to find the words that create that, you know, instead
of. For me, the opposite of fear for me is courage, which is red.
Yeah.
Got it. I hear you now, Miss Susan. Thank you so much for your wisdom.
You're welcome.
The key energy on the bottom of the feet works very well.
Thank you, Diego. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so bring your aura pictures with you next week. I'm going to send out the aura reading manual again to everybody. And I'll just again mention, bring your aura pictures with you. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to be teaching this class how to read your own aura. And I'm going to be talking in a few different ways, because there will be some people who will have never experienced the Biopulsar. So I'm going to try to make it a little generic in some ways, but nonetheless, I will be following that key. And I'll be elaborating on it so you can really see how you can teach your own, you know, how to teach an aura class. And again, these are things that you can do virtually to start with, and let people know when things open up in the area that, you know, you're offering sessions at, you know, at a reduced rate, just so they can get their aura picture and then understand more about what the class was about, right? And today I also made a video on color baths, so that's going to be posted on Facebook shortly. And I also did a 10-minute training on color bath, because I wanted people to understand all the healing properties of color bath. It's one of my favorite tools. I have had a lot of epiphanies while taking a color bath. And as we talk about shifting one's energy, when you're a half hour in a color bath, that's 1,800 seconds you're programming your body, mind, and spirit with one vibration. That is power. And some of my biggest profound healing experiences were actually while I was taking a color bath. So I did a 10-minute video just teaching people the power of color bathing. So when that's available, hopefully you guys will go on YouTube and watch it, and I'll just keep you apprised of any new updates on YouTube. We're behind in editing. I don't have time. I'm not going to have time until at least mid-December. So I've committed to the classes, but other things I can't commit to right now. I'm just so overwhelmed, and still trying to sell my apartment. So that's also weighing on my mind. So all kinds of things going on here, but nonetheless, I'll do what I can do, as much as I can do for you guys, but always know I'm a phone call away. Feel free to call me if you need my help. And I'm working on it, Brian. I'm working on it. Okay. Ciao for now, guys.